Okay, let's do the numerology for the 24th of April, 2023. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 17, and if you add the 1 and the 7 together, you get the number 8. In yogic numerology, the number 17 attempts to put the individuality, the number 1, into patterns that create new things and help us to make sense out of the situations and circumstances in our lives. Too often we want to know why. But the answer often lies just beyond our grasp of understanding or our mind's ability to comprehend the bigger picture. There is a why that will answer the reasoning behind things, but it lives in those places that indicate that certain lessons are learned in hard ways and that certain lessons are for us to remember our own karmic traps and figure out how to unwind beliefs that have outgrown their usefulness or that are false, but our mind and ego somehow became attached to. Letting go is hard to do. When you combine these two numbers, we end up with the number 8, which is a reminder that the levels and layers of grief that we hold on to are always from attachment. Everyone gets attached to this life, this identity, our money, our power, our job, our people, who we think we are. It's endless. And the harder we hold on to things, the more pain we can experience. That is why at the root of all pain is some sort of trauma. Those traumas can be very old, like past lifetimes old, or they can be where we just refuse to change or adapt to the shifting circumstances. Rigid mindsets cause enormous amounts of trauma. That is why this number 8 is the lesson of learning to let go. People ask me all the time, how do you let go? And I tell them the same answer. You just tell yourself constantly to let it go. They seem dumbfounded that it could be that simple. But I say, the mind is a tool of the soul. If the soul intends to let go, then the mind begins to make that choice. And the body will do what the mind tells it to do, eventually. But I knew this, but I learned that it is that, I knew this, but I learned this in a clear and concise way from my bipolar first husband, John. One night I woke up and he was not there. I found him upstairs on the sofa sitting quietly. I asked him if he was okay. He said he was having a manic moment. I said it did not look like he was having a manic moment. He looked at me and smiled knowingly. Then he said, "Oh no, I'm in a manic moment. My mind is racing and making lots of shit up. It tries to tell me that I am so much smarter than everyone else. It tries to create solutions to impossible problems in my mind. It likes to believe in complex psychological solutions using philosophy and the places where the mind loves to make up games, comparing one process or reasoning against another. I am definitely in a manic mode. But I learned something a long time ago. I can interrupt a manic phase, but I can't seem to interrupt a depressive phase. I learned that if I don't let my mind get way out on a limb, then I don't fall into that terrible I want to die depressive phase. So I have learned to sit quietly and tell myself, John, stop. Just stop it. You know you're being manic. Just stop it right now. If you do that for about 20 minutes, my mind eventually stops. And that's when I understood the sorrow card in the tarot and why it is lodged in the mental cards of the minor arcana, the swords, because it is the mind that often can't let go. It is the mind that refuses to deal with the reality that is presenting, and it is the mind that tries to make up a solution to explain what is happening or explain a feeling. That is when I realized that the soul knows how to surrender. After all, we had to surrender up everything just to be here in this world. We had to surrender up our light to become this life. Today, remind your own soul that it knows how to let go and to surrender up the suffering that you are currently experiencing. Give it all up on this huge life-giving and life-fulfilling altar that is Earth. Tell your mind that it is making things up that are not true in order to try and make sense out of it all, and that it is now time to let go of what once was and the story that it created around particular circumstances. Today, let go of what you believe to be true about this life, this world, your parents, why you are here, what you believe your mission and purpose is, and instead give it all up. That is when you realize that the mental thoughts are a heavy and terrible burden to constantly carry around. Those thoughts need to be put down and allow yourself instead to carry your experiences that have become wisdom, compassion, and kindness. Those types of things feel light as a feather. That is how the body heals spontaneously, how the despair dissipates, and how we learn to come back into this world fully present instead of wandering lost in the endless mazes that the mind intends to ensnare our souls and trap us in the loops of suffering and karma. Thanks, everyone.